Hello everyone, this is my Module 2 discussion post. First question, discuss how your vision or view of ethics differ similar to those discussed in the text. My view is pretty much the same as the one in the text, and that's like do the right thing and that everything you do has consequences. I think that's pretty much a very simple, dumbed down version of the way the text described ethics. I think a lot of this comes from my parents. My parents taught me from a very young age that everything you do has a consequence, whether it be negative or positive, and they were very good at enforcing those consequences too, so I definitely learned that way. Question number 2, discuss how your views of ethics have changed over time. Please discuss both points in time when your view of ethics has changed, how they changed, and what you believe your ethical perspective to be now. I think as I've matured, ethics have become, I don't know that my views have really changed that much, but they've become more understandable. And like I actually knew what they were, if that makes sense. I think as you're younger, like people kind of treat you as a kid or as a baby, and like you don't really understand like to do the right thing because like there was no punishment for doing wrong a lot of times, especially when you were really young. But as you grow up and as you mature and turn into an adult, like you start to recognize those consequences because they're real and they happen and they affect your life. And so I think that really helped me. If I had to pick an ethical perspective just from one of the lists in the chapters, I'd say that I'm somewhere between altruism and justice, to where you're doing everything for the good of other people, but also like justice is pretty, like, that's a pretty self-explanatory word, like the right thing no matter what. It's kind of the same idea, but a little bit different in you're doing the right thing for other people while also making things equal and right, if that makes sense. So I don't know, somewhere in between those two is, I think, a good way to define my ethical perspective. Question number 3, based on the text, what are the most important ethical issues you need to be aware of in the workplace? Why is it important? What are the implications or consequences of the issue? And how do you know if these issues being appropriately handled or responded to? One of the biggest ones that I think, in my opinion, is like the manipulation and lying for your own gain, like whether it be coworkers or superiors in your workplace. Like you have to be able to recognize that and to make sure that it's being taken care of. Like if it is one of your coworkers, take it to a superior, make sure they are aware of it and make sure that they're doing something to help with it. And kind of that chain of command thing, like if they're not doing anything about it, like just keep climbing the chain until you find someone who will do something about it. And if they're not, then you're probably not in the right spot for you, if you don't believe that's the right thing that should be happening. Number 4 is the question about the case study, and what ethical issues I saw. So first one I had the the pharmaceutical company ethical issues. And so the first ethical issue I saw was the company Merck was manipulating the data for the drug Vioxx to get it fast track approved by the FDA, and that's really not safe, ethical, or reasonable. I mean, they're putting people's lives in danger to make money, which is kind of their job, but also it's their job to save people, so you kind of have to like take into account that. The second one I found was they lied about the side effects while by telling people like there wasn't any serious side effects when they knew that they could cause heart attacks and other complications when on the drug. The third one I found was they ignored the negative consequences. They not only lied about not having them, but they also just ignored them because they were making money off of it, and that was convenient for them. So super unethical, not the right thing to do at all. The fourth unethical thing I found was they actually threatened a Stanford professor, I believe it was, or doctor, that was bashing their company for lying and all this stuff because he thought it was the right thing to do. They were bashing him and they threatened him. Even not necessarily threatened him directly with his life, but pretty like, it was a pretty dirty threat, and definitely don't want to be seeing that. The last one I found was they falsely used data to say the drug was safe, and then when they revoked it, when they finally removed the drug from the market, it was claimed as a like willful removal from the market, when really it was their only option because they were killing people. And so realistically that was the most ethical thing they did in the whole process, because they removed it from the market, and by doing that saved lives of people who would later take it. But applying the text, how might ethical issues be addressed in such a complex case? So the thing I got from the text was in the first section, and it was the ethical matrix, and how this was a subjective ethic, because the pharmaceutical company, Merck, I think was the company name, they had good means were meant from this. They were trying to help people with this drug and like save people and make people's lives better, but a bad end came out of it. And so that's where I get the subjective ethic, and if you look on the matrix, it kind of explained that, and I really liked that. So yeah.